Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. My name is Clayton Fletcher, and I am in safe, peaceful, bucolic New York City, happy to be bringing you yet another episode of the world's longest running poker strategy podcast. Had so much fun on the road. Went to places like St. Paul, Minnesota, and Louisville, Kentucky. I had so much fun in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Shout out, by the way, to Chattanooga. Comedy Catch is a club that has been in existence for over 40 years now, and after the big show on Saturday night, they had a little fun poker game in the club. I had so much fun meeting everybody and playing a little tournament style poker, very relaxed atmosphere, and the game was even attended by an old friend of mine, Pat Dixon, who is a terrific comedian in his own right, and he currently lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So it was fun catching up with Pat. We act like idiots at the table. I mean, we didn't hold up the game, I hope, but we definitely were acting silly and just kind of joking around a lot. And it reminded me of the old days when I used to play in a regular poker game with Pat right here in the Big Apple. The shows were great. The game was fun. I ended up getting third place, by the way, in the tournament. I think I won $40. So, yeah, very well worth the 12-hour drive to Tennessee there. No, it was cool. I got to meet a lot of new friends and sold quite a few copies of The ROI of LOL, which is the book that I wrote about how to use comedy skills in business and in life. Overall, just a really good time all around, but there's no place like home, and I'm very happy to be back in New York, where this weekend I will be performing at West Side Comedy Club, April 26th. That's a Saturday. I have a show at 6 o'clock and another show at 8 o'clock. Get your tickets at westsidecomedyclub.com. Big news this week as Pennsylvania joined the Multi-State Internet Gaming Agreement, the MSIGA. And this is the agreement that allows us to play online poker on legal, licensed, regulated websites when we are in places like New Jersey, Nevada, Delaware, West Virginia, and Michigan. Well, now you can add Pennsylvania to that list. And what's fun is we get to play against each other. So, for example, when I'm playing a bracelet event online in Vegas during the WSOP, some of my opponents have traditionally been in Michigan or New Jersey. And it looks like, hopefully they can get this done in the next month, but it looks like maybe we're going to be adding Pennsylvania to that this summer, which would do a lot in terms of increasing the prize pools. There are 15 million residents of the Keystone State, and approximately 200,000 of them play online poker. So let's go. Let's start getting that money into our prize pools. Bigger and better events for everyone. So this is great news. I hope more states will wake up and join the MSIGA soon. More information on this story as it develops. But right now, I want to talk about the summertime in Las Vegas. This will be my last episode in April. Very exciting that it's almost May. Spring is here. Baseball's in full swing. And to me, it always just means that I'm counting the days until I get to the WSOP and all of the other fun events. I'm going to look really quickly right now at a preliminary schedule that I laid out for myself. I want to play about 35 events this summer, a couple of shots at the Mystery Millions, obviously the first event at the WSOP, wanting to get off to that strong start, maybe even getting lucky and pulling the $1 million envelope. Certainly going to play the $600 PLO Deep Stack, which is the only live bracelet event that I've ever final tabled. So I hope to improve on my 5th place finish this year. Let's see, there's a $1,500 shootout on June 4th. Double board bomb pot, that's going to be crazy. PLO double board, I'm all about it. Of course, we've got another $600 deep stack on June 8th. This one is a mixed PLO, no limit hold'em. That's going to be crazy. I can't wait to play that. June 11th, I'm going to play in the $2.5 million guaranteed championship event at the Wynn. It's only a $1,600 buy-in for potentially life-changing money. Of course, I'm going to play that. I'm going to play quite a few events at the Wynn this summer, including obviously the $3 million mystery bounty for $2,200. I will probably take at least 3 or 4 shots at that in hopes of making day 2. There's also a $3,500 $4 million guarantee June 23rd, 24th, around that time. I'm also going to play the Millionaire Maker. I'm going to play the Battle of the Ages. And guys, don't sleep on MGM Grand. I'm excited about the Moneymaker main event, $1,700 buy-in with $1 million guaranteed prize pool. It's a really fun place to play. I like the MGM Grand. Good vibes in there. I will be playing in that event on or about July 1st. Then the Wynn is doing a PLO mystery bounty, $1 million guarantee, $3,000 buy-in. PLO, mystery bounty. I love to gamble. Let's get it in. Sometime around July 4th, I'm certainly going to play in the $10,000 No Limit Hold'em Championship. That's what we call the main event. Sometime around July 4th, I'll jump into that. Depending on how it goes, I may end up playing another mystery bounty at the Wynn the next day. And then the WSOP PLO mystery bounty, multiple starting flights. It's a 1K, along with the Hall of Fame bounty, which I absolutely love. It makes me nostalgic. It makes me respect the game. Even though I've never made it to dinner break of that thing, I'm going to play that almost certainly again this year. The Lucky Sevens is always fun. I love legroom, #legroom. And how can I skip the closer on July 14th when everybody's on tilt? That's a really quick look at the schedule. It's a preliminary schedule from me. I can do whatever I want. You don't own me, okay? You're not in charge of my life. But assuming that I'm feeling good on all of the days when these tournaments are happening, I expect to get in there. I've scheduled quite a few days off for myself as well. And with those days, I can either play online, which I intend to do quite a bit this summer. Around this time last year, I joined the Twitch revolution and started my own Twitch stream. And I intend to play quite a bit of online poker this summer in Vegas, trying to win an online bracelet or two. Shortly after I joined the Twitch revolution last year, the #bracelet in a bathrobe was born. Actually, that's not true. No one has ever used that hashtag, but I would love to make that a thing this summer if you guys are up for it. But yeah, I think we should continue the tradition of me just like relaxing in a nice hotel room in Las Vegas and trying to win my bracelet while having room service delivered and whatever else. You guys know I have been grinding really hard at comedy lately, and one reason for that, by the way, is that I don't expect to be doing much comedy over the summer, if at all. I mean, look, to be fair, if Brad Garrett's comedy club gives me a holler or one of the other clubs in town offers me an opportunity, I would probably take it. But what I mean is that I'm there for poker and I'm going to be very focused on that. I'm taking care of my body. I'm working out. I'm eating well. And I'm trying very hard to show up in Vegas ready for the grind. I don't want to be getting tired after 2 or 3 weeks. And my mentor, Anton Wig, is the first one to tell me that my body, my mind, and my spirit are all inextricably linked. That means they're connected, guys. So I'm taking care of all of them. I'm getting rest. I'm going to the gym. I'm being good to myself. I'm filling my brain with positive affirmations every day. Look, I don't know if this stuff works, but it sure as hell can't hurt. So I'm going to try anything to make sure that this summer goes better for me than last summer did. I literally couldn't buy a coin flip last year to go my way. So I'm putting all of that behind me. I've been doing quite well in both live and online poker so far this year, 2025. So I'm ready to turn the page on last year's World Series and I'm really gearing up for a great summer. I'm going to show up rested, focused, and ready. So that's my plan. I want to know what your plans are. Hit me up on Twitter at Clayton Comic, or you can also join the TPE Discord absolutely free and let me know who's coming, what are you playing, and how are you feeling about 1 month away from summer camp. All right, well, obviously part of my preparations for the World Series of Poker, I'm trying to improve my poker game. I'm using GTO Wizard. I love this tool. It can show you where the leaks in your game are. And I want to review a hand that we talked about from last week's episode involving Maria Ho. And this time we're going to use this wonderful solver, GTO Wizard, to help analyze this hand and see if one or both of the players involved were at all out of line. So the action starts with Ben Collins in second position. And so it's one fold, and then he opens from second position. He's got the ace of spades, deuce of spades, and 573 chips. He makes it 13K. The action folds all the way around to Maria Ho in the big blind, and she's got the king of clubs, 10 of spades, and she makes the call to defend off of a stack of 485,000. Now the blinds were 3,000, 6,000 with a 6,000 big blind ante. So both opponents have over 80 big blinds each. So a pretty deep stacked single raised pot. And let's look at the wizard here on pre-flop. Ben is actually supposed to be folding the ace deuce suited 92% of the time, only raising it up 8% of the time. And this is interesting. Every other suited ace is a pure 100% open according to GTO Wizard. I don't know why. I guess ace deuce is technically the worst suited ace, so we don't need to play it from early position. You guys know my basic strategy involves folding quite a few hands from early position that the wizard wants us to play, but this did surprise me, I'll admit it. And then Maria, obviously a pure call with king 10. No reason to do anything else with king 10 offsuit from the big blind. She calls 100%. And now with 35K in the pot, the flop comes king of diamonds, queen of hearts, 4 of diamonds, king, queen, 4 with 2 diamonds. Maria has the king of clubs, 10 of spades, so she doesn't have any backdoor flush possibilities. Maria checks her top pair, and Collins bets 12K into 35K, just about a third, and Maria calls. Now, Maria always checks on this flop. There are no leads, and Ben is supposed to pure c-bet. He never checks behind. He doesn't often have ace deuce suited, but when he does, this is such a good flop for his range and not so great for Maria's range. So even though, like in this case, he has basically nothing going on, he doesn't have a backdoor flush draw, he doesn't have a pair, it doesn't matter. This is what we call a range bet. All of Ben's hands are supposed to bet small on this board because it's just a much better flop for him. Maria, obviously with king 10, never folds, but she only calls this 84% of the time. And the theory is that she's supposed to check raise this pair of kings with a 10 kicker 16% of the time, mostly making it about 40K. Instead, Maria calls, and now we're going to see a turn with 59,000 in the middle. That turn card is the ace of diamonds, completing both the flush and the straight, and Maria is first to act. Both players check. Maria is actually supposed to donk lead very small, about 20% of the pot, about 6% of the time. So yeah, we do almost always check, but looking at that, we have to find these occasional leads when we don't have a draw. The solver likes to bet these certain cards. Maybe we have more flushes in our range with the ace of diamonds and the king of diamonds both on the board, and the original raise coming from early position. We're more likely to actually have a flush right now, even though we don't have a diamond to block the flush. We do have the 10 of spades, which blocks the straight, so that might be another reason to occasionally lead small here in Maria's shoes, but she checks, and I can't really blame her for that. So Ben also checked, and the solver says Ben is fine checking 36% of the time. and the rest, it's a mixed strategy, either betting small or medium. So both players check, and now the river comes the 7 of spades, which really doesn't change anything. Maria's first, she checks, and Collins puts in 34K into the 59K pot, so just a hint above half the pot, and Maria makes the call. Now, I was critical of this call last week. I felt like Maria can only beat a bluff, and she doesn't really need to turn this hand into a bluff catcher, and so on. So, yeah, Maria doesn't ever lead this 7 of spades on the river. She pure checks this river. Ben is supposed to check it back 98% of the time. So the solver is not a huge fan of Ben's decision to go half pot here on the river with a pair of aces. Now, that's very surprising to me, but I suppose it kind of goes back to the logic that I had before, which is just it's hard to get paid or whatever, but Ben does get paid, and Maria pays this off, and Maria is supposed to call 96% of the time and only fold her pair of kings 4% of the time. So boy, was I wrong, and it kind of goes back to something that I have been discovering. I don't protect enough hands on the flop. In other words, I'm too bluffable on the flop. And recently I've also been noticing that I don't have enough bluff catchers on the river. So Maria played the hand well, according to GTO Wizard, although I would have, of course, lost fewer chips as the cards happen to lie this particular time. So if you are interested in using GTO Wizard, I've got a great deal for you. Guys, you get 24 hours free access to all of GTO Wizard's features, and then you'll save 10% off your first purchase. All you have to do to get started is click the link in the description. That's our affiliate link, and we'll help you get that 10% discount once you're ready to buy. And that link is gtowizard.com/p/TPE. Okay, let's look at another hand from last year's main event. You guys know I'm all about the World Series. I'm getting geared up. I love watching last year's main event, helping me visualize myself going really deep once again in this year's main event, something I haven't done since 2018. I'd say it's my time. I got in the top 100, for those who don't know, of the main event in the year 2015 and then again in the year 2018. Coincidentally, Kelly Minkin, now Kelly Lucas, but back then she was known as Kelly Minkin, was the last woman standing in both of the years when I got in the top 100. That doesn't mean anything, but it's just kind of a cute little fun fact. So I guess in a way I'm hoping Kelly Lucas goes really far in this year's main event as well. Anyway, here we are, day 4, already in the money, about halfway through the day. The blinds were 5,000 and 10,000 with a 10,000 big blind ante. 2 folds to Quang Pham, and he opens from third position off of a stack of 470,000, so 47 big blinds. He makes it 22,000 with pocket tens, the 10 of hearts and 10 of clubs. Next to act is Eric Mizrachi, and he makes the call in the low jack with a hand that I will reveal in just a few minutes. Everyone else folds, and we're going to see a flop from out of position. By the way, Eric has just a few more chips than Quang, and so we're going to play this hand from the perspective of Quang Pham with the pocket tens. 69,000 in the middle, and the flop comes ace of diamonds, king of hearts, king of clubs. So ace, king, king. Hero with the 10 of hearts, 10 of clubs, and the action is on hero. What do you guys want to do with pocket tens on ace, king, king? Obviously, not the flop that we were looking for. And one thing we've been talking about quite a bit is how GTO Wizard is teaching me that I need to be checking a lot more often from out of position and not c-betting as much as I do when I'm in position. With that being said, I would still bet this flop. I think it's a much better flop for my range as the pre-flop raiser than it is for the pre-flop caller. I mean, we can't really get called by worse than a pair of tens. maybe Eric Mizrachi's good enough to look us up one time with like pocket eights or something like that. But I still wouldn't mind cleaning up a little bit of equity here. And as Alex Fitzgerald and Topher Goggin like to say, keep the betting lead. So a lot of good things can happen. If we just bet small here and Eric doesn't have anything, he might go away. But if we check, then we might have to face a couple of bets from this good, decent, aggressive player, even though he doesn't have a range advantage. I don't know. I feel like it's better to just bet one time and basically be done with it. And apparently Kwang Pham agrees with me, at least here on the flop, because he does bet very small, 12,000 into the 69,000 pot. Guys, that is about 1/6 of the pot. And Mizrachi calls rather quickly. Now, guys, I don't know if you've ever found yourself seated at a poker table with anyone named Mizrachi, but I can tell you from personal experience, it's not fun. These guys are very good at poker. All 5 of them, or however many Mizrachis there are. Anyway, Mizrachi does call, and now with 93,000 in the middle, the turn comes the 5 of clubs. So our board is now ace of diamonds, king of clubs, king of hearts, 5 of clubs, ace, king, king, 5 with 2 clubs, and the action is on hero, Kwang Pham. Now, I don't think we should bet again, right? We took our little stab at the pot on the flop, and it didn't work out. He's probably got an ace or a king, and at best, he's got something like Queen Jack or Jack 10 or whatever, and we blocked the ladder pretty well. So I don't know, if we bet again, what are we really hoping to accomplish? He's never going to fold an ace or a king, and he probably doesn't even have pocket queens or pocket jacks very often, although we might be able to get him to fold one of those hands. I doubt that Mizrachi will put pressure on us if he's got a hand like pocket eights, pocket sevens. Those are hands that make a lot of sense the way this has gone so far. I just don't see any reason to bet. When you have a marginal made hand and you are out of position, it is usually best to check. You don't have as much information as the player who is in position has. It's not fun, and it's a very, very bad habit that a lot of us need to break, which is feeling like we just have to bet so that nobody else bets. Well, you lose the chips either way, right? So let's just check this card and give up. But Pham does not give up. He bets again, second barreling with the 10s. Not really sure what the logic is, but he puts in 35K into the 93K pot. And of course, Mizrachi calls again with a hand that I have yet to reveal. And now with 163,000 in the middle, the river comes the queen of diamonds. Final board, ace, king, king, 5, queen, and no flush came in. And the only straight that's possible is the one that we block so hard with 2 of the 4 10s. And this time, I think it is time to bet. We got to this point. We have a nuts advantage. Aces, kings, ace, king. And now we block the only possible straight. So if you forced me to bet the turn, which I would not have done, and I somehow ended up playing Pham's hand in this river situation, I think we have to bet, and we should bet big. I'd put in something like 110 into the 163, so right around 2/3 of the pot for me, and I think that should get him to fold most ace X holdings that he has a good enough amount of the time. And let's be clear, guys, ace X is literally our only possible bluff target. The man called a bet on the flop and the turn. He doesn't have pocket eights anymore. He just doesn't have that hand often enough for us to worry about trying to bluff it. And anyway, we're beating that hand. So the only hands we're trying to get to fold are ace X. The man is not going to fold a king. He's not going to fold a straight. He's not going to fold quads or full house or anything else. So we're literally just trying to get him to fold something like, I don't know, ace jack suited or whatever. Once again, if you threw me into this situation, I would try to get the guy to fold an ace, but I never would have bet the turn in the first place and then I would be able to give up much more easily on the river. But it's just such a perfect card for me to continue telling my story, and also the added information of knowing it's incredibly unlikely that Mizrachi has Jack 10. It's super unlikely he has that anyway, but when I see two of the 10s in my own hand, let's go. You put me here, I'm going to walk through the door and try to win the pot. I know 10s are no good. Let's try to get him to fold an ace, but instead, Fam gives up and Mizrachi can't check behind fast enough, and he wins the pot with the ace of spades, queen of spades. So ace, queen of spades, maybe wouldn't have folded to my river bet, but at least I could have made him have a tough decision. Remember, guys, a big part of our job as tournament poker players is to give our opponents a lot of hard decisions to make. And I think that betting small on the flop and then small again on the turn and then giving up on this river does not do that. And so I'm not a fan of how Quang Pham chose to play his pocket 10s on day 4 of the 2024 World Series of Poker main event. And that'll do it for this episode, guys. Hope so you can come see me at Westside Comedy Club this weekend. And for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas plays. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Luck and intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart.